Hey y'all, Professor Tony here. So it is Wednesday. I wanted to do a quick check-in and apologize for my absence. Yeah, we got real busy with a few things up here. So go. This is a video that's just going to update us. So I want to go over a couple of things. Okay. Um, so first, some of you emailed me rightfully because the last question on our first quiz, had two answers. And the ranges varied. Was 75 to 100 or 150. Those were the numbers. So again, to reiterate, what happens if you don't put an identical answer in, or the order is different, it's marked wrong. And I know that, and I didn't get to correcting that for all of you, but please note, I will. I promise you that. You'll never have any parts of your grade taken away by me. Secondly, I'm filming this from my phone, and I have to upload it. I just made a new YouTube channel. I had an old one, but it's got so many videos on it, I don't want you to have to navigate through that. The reason for it is I updated my Zoom from where I am now, and of course I'm having camera issues. That happens quite often. And a couple of mic issues too. So a couple of times with my Nova issued computer, which is all I have, that has happened, where I'll update Zoom. It'll just before the meeting starts, requires the update, of course, and then I've got no audio or I have no camera. So I'm videoing this from the phone, and we'll upload it and send you a YouTube link to keep you posted, okay? So, a couple of things. Yes, those grades will be corrected. Fear not. I would never do that to you. Second, this will be a YouTube link. Third, we do have the midterm, and that will be open from Saturday early morning, maybe even Friday night till late Sunday night, okay? It'll be 25 questions. Those questions will probably be 5 review questions from the first week, 10 from the mental well-being, and then 10 from nutrition. Now, I will go over all of the high points in a video. I promise that I'll be back in Florida, and I will make a video Friday morning that highlights all of the points from the mental well-being and mental health, and then for the nutrition this week. And I wish I could have extended time on the nutrition with you. Next week, we'll do nutrition for mental health and mood. It's a whole new field called nutritional neuroscience, and I've actually taught that class through the Department of Psychology and Neuroscience. It's very cool. All right. Globally, mental health, as you can see, when we looked at it last week, just like wellness, there are conflicting definitions. It is challenging for people to pinpoint an exact definition, but we can see that it is multifaceted. Mental health involves all of the things that we are a part of every day, and things that we're integrated with, whether it's from Seligman and it's positive emotions and relationships, but the definitions, and I'll go over them in Friday's video, the definitions and the subcategories, okay, include a host of things. Just like wellness did, occupation, relationships, spirituality, physical activity, okay, purpose. I think purpose seems to come up over and over again in wellness and mental health. Being part of something that they say is bigger than ourselves, right? That's what drives people very often. For some of you, it could be pursuing this degree. It could be family. It could be a business on the side. For many, it is their children, whatever it might be. But a purpose to get up every morning is vital. And when we don't have that, obviously, there's a sense of, in not all cases, hopelessness, but I don't know if we can optimize our mood, the intent about things we do. Perhaps even our closest relationships don't come to full fruition. So mental health and physical activity, everyone, is a foundation to mental health. I believe that, not because I'm in it, because I will tell you, I did physical activity my entire life for mental health. There are times people would tell me I'm very disciplined in my training. I'm not disciplined. When I didn't do it, I didn't feel very well. It's that simple. One of the things it has done over the years, again, is physical activity, movement, volitional activity, enjoying activity with people you like to be around. Zumba class, people will tend to mock these things, but any form of activity, particularly with community, is really great. But again, why? Because it lays the foundation. Being active lays the foundation for neuroplasticity, meaning a brain that can change. A brain that, if there are pathways going left that are negative, let's move them to the right and try to create positive ones. And even the neurogenesis potential, which we've talked about, making new brain cells. If you were to research this, you would find that people 82 years old are put on a treadmill and they can trace throughout the brain and see new neurons being created. It's a dye, it's a tracer, it's not harmful, and actually see neurogenesis. Now, probably not to the extent that we're going to see, obviously, in a 20-year-old, right? But nevertheless, we used to think the brain was immutable. You're born with 100 brain cells, go to college, drink too much beer, now you're down to 90, and you don't make them back. Well, we do. So what makes the mental health? Multifaceted. Being active potentially with the people you want to be with, finding purpose, and for many of us, sometimes it has to be through career, not exclusively, but largely. And this is why occupation is always mentioned in mental well-being or mental health, because we spend so many hours a week doing it. And it may not be that a person comes out of college and has the ultimate job, but inevitably they'll find their pathway, or they'll create something, or they'll create a business or a product. Many men and women, I have many in my family, were in the military. Great people that served, and their purpose and intent. They didn't go in it because they had no other choice, no other career. They genuinely wanted to serve the country. So that's also what we mean by purpose and intent. Nutrition. Wow, we could go on all day. That's this week's topic. What I did is I put up an overview of macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, fats. And again, I would love to have spent more time. I'll probably maybe put up some nutrition videos for you for your use. For your own use. They won't be tested material, but maybe some things that you can dive into that you'll find of great interest. I'll try to do some of the searching, what might be best and succinct for you, because you're so busy in your other studies. But I always tell my students the following. The theory is, and I'm a big fan of astronomy. If I had the mathematical acumen, I would have been an astronomist, but I don't. So, nevertheless, right, we're pretty much made of stars. That's what we believe. It doesn't take away from anybody's religious belief if they believe we were created, because it's just the material from the stars. How we got living beings from it, who knows? But when a star implodes and blows up, the supernova, if you will, we get carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. And those are the 4 primary nutrients of which we are constructed. The minerals, and elements, really. The elements. Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen, the primary elements. Now we have calcium, we have phosphorus, we have iron, but they are still not in the same quantity, despite the fact your bone is composed of a lot of it, as you will those 4 elements. So a star blows up, makes some carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, amongst other elements, and it forms what we are as humans. Of course, with complex DNA sequences and so forth. But nevertheless, everyone, fats, protein, carbs, what are they made out of? Carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen. So that old quote, you are what you eat, it means you are what you eat. Other than being able to make some vitamin D from the sun, and of course, the rates of conversion from sunlight to 125 hydroxycholecalciferol to vitamin D vary from person to person. Some people are going to do better. They're going to get more vitamin D from the sun than maybe someone else. Nevertheless, we have the sun for vitamin D, and we have oxygen, which we can send to oxidative phosphorylation and make ATP. Can't make enough ATP on oxygen alone, because if we could, we wouldn't need food. We need food. We don't get anything other than that oxygen and some vitamin D from anywhere other than what we eat. I can't breathe in vitamin K, potassium, magnesium, vitamin C. It's not in water if I put it on my face. The only way to get nearly everything we need is to ingest it. And if you're very active and you are very physically active and you have a lot of stress, we probably need quite a bit of it. The good news is, and I've been around nutrition a long, long time, it's really hard to not be healthy and gain extra weight on, you want to call it clean food, real food, natural food, whatever you prefer. But if you're vegan for religious observance or ethical reasons, all good. You don't want to kill animals, I get it. But you have to still find ways to get those proteins in. We need them. We need a lot of amino acids. Okay, if you do eat animal proteins, great. There's nothing complicated. Put in as many fruits, vegetables as we can, some grains in there. Okay, we still search for the ultimate diet. There probably is no ultimate dietary practice because there are inconsistencies. I don't want to say the bad word. There are differences between us genetically. If you spent, and your family and your culture spent, your genetics are 2,000 years in Greenland, northern Siberia, northern Alaska, Inuit culture. You don't have the same 2,000-year eating practices as does somebody from the Pacific Islands or any other part. Okay, there are certain ethnicities that can't ingest alcohol at all. They have a greater propensity for lactose intolerances. So it is very challenging for us to say unequivocally, this is the only one way to eat. But if we had to put everybody on one diet, if we had to, and food was rationed in that kind of way, probably a Mediterranean diet might be one of the most, I would say, feasible compromises. And it's discussed in the article. But to reiterate, it's really challenging. There are individual differences. When we consult people on diet, we can't just discount. This has been a major problem in dietary practice. We can't discount and say, you know what? I remember talking to many people. I used to do work for Pfizer Pharmaceutical and Health Promotion in Lincoln, Nebraska. Many of the employees from Lincoln not only worked for the animal health group and in manufacturing, they raised their own cattle. Am I going to tell them never eat red meat again? Absolutely not. How do we complement their red meat diet? It's not only based in that, but with other good foods. Nutrition is challenging because we have to do it 3 to 4 times a day. We can't escape it. And therefore, if you have patterns that are not optimal, boy, they're well ingrained. Because you're practicing something that isn't best 3 to 4 times a day. Right? And there are other issues, like an addiction is a serious challenge, right? And it are parts of the brain. Addiction is real. But in the end, if someone had a gambling addiction, they're not going to die if they don't do it. This is not to downplay how challenging it may be. But the urges for food are primal. We don't live without it. We don't make it. The number 1 and 2 things humans have to do to survive is procreate and eat. If you don't do those 2 basics, the species does not make it. So urges for food are strong. And our culture has capitalized on that, right? You look at every fast food restaurant. What do you usually see? You usually see yellow. You usually see red in the signs, in the marketing. Why? Well, for the same reason you see yellow and red when you're driving. Yellow's bright. It's a warning to slow down. Red tells you to stop. Most fire hydrants are red. It gets your attention. Stop signs are red. It gets your attention. When I was young, did I say fire engines? Fire engines mostly are red, but fire hydrants used to be red because they weren't GPS or located on a map. So firemen and firewomen had to see them. Okay, so my point to all this is, yeah, there is even color psychology behind the foods we eat to get your attention. And then it is beautifully blended with salts and sugars and fats to be highly palatable and receive a reward in the brain if you eat a Big Mac or something like that, which I like. I concede. I haven't had one in like 25, 30 years, but I do like them. Okay, but nevertheless, it is a challenge to eat well in the United States. And when people say it isn't, it is. And food accessibility is everywhere. It's everywhere. And therefore, what happens when it's everywhere? You don't worry about preparing it. Oh, I'm not going to make food. I'm not going to bring my own snacks. I don't need to bring anything. I can get something anywhere, and it's usually not very beneficial. The principles of good dietary practice are elementary. They're really simple. It's the application that's challenging. Running a marathon, technically, it's pretty simple. We all know how to run. You can certainly improve running economy so that you are more effective. But if we all had to run to kind of save our life, we'd have to do it. But doing it for 26.2 miles is the challenge. That's the same thing with food. And you don't have to be perfect. That's the tragedy. But getting in, it's not complicated most of the time. And these foods can be specific to your ethnicity, your culture, how you grew up. But if they're grown on the planet and they were once alive, you're going to have a really hard time gaining weight on them. And I say gaining weight only because that has been the country's problem. For optimizing health, we have to put a lot of good foods in the body. Colors are important. I referred to colors in fast food. Like I said, everything is designed to get your attention. Look at kids' cereals. The boxes are bright. All different colors on the cereal so that when the little guy walks and the little girl walks down the aisle, what's the first thing they notice? A bright cereal box. They notice colors. It gets our attention. Why do colors get our attention? Well, probably blackberries, raspberries, blueberries, root vegetables, sweet potato. They weren't above ground so much. But the green and leafy greens, orange and carrots, the selection of foods we have available that grow naturally have a lot of different colors because of their phytonutrients and there are properties that give them those different colors. Right? Resveratrol, the one example of the purple in a grape. Okay, lycopene, the red in the tomato. So beta carotenoids, the orange in sweet potato, or yellow in squash, or orange in a carrot. So anyway, this is just a little overview. The carbohydrates, 4 calories per gram. Fats, 9 calories per gram. Proteins, 4 calories per gram. Many arguments about what the diet should be 40, 50% carb. This much protein, that little protein. We have not been protein eaters for very long because we've not been hunters for very long. I think somewhere around 1 million years. Right? Australopithecus was one of our ancestors that just kind of had bow legs, flat foot, and wasn't a very good hunter. Then there was change in our skeletal structure. We ran better. Then we were able to hunt a little bit more and started eating animal meats. And by the way, the brain took off in size. It's not from my opinion, evolutionary biologists, once we started eating animal meats. And again, that doesn't mean you need to eat it today. You can do all types of dietary practices. The vitamins and minerals, I will just briefly go over them too. I'll take the high ones, but I hope those slides, they're for you. Because I talked to Dr. Shepard and Dr. Phre, and we were talking about how there were suggestions that you don't get a lot of information on vitamins and minerals. Now, I've taught 2 semesters of vitamins and minerals, VNM 1 and VNM 2, so it's quite detailed. But what I will do for our 25 questions, again, I'll take maybe a maximum of 5 as a review from the first 2 weeks, forgive me. Then we'll do about, maybe 7 or 8 on mental wellness, and then 7 or 8 on nutrition. Where will those emphases be? They will be on my video on Friday. Okay? Once again, I really like trying to provide you with information other than arbitrary reading, so I'm sorry for the lack of videos. and updates. What happens, you get my age, I'll be 60 next year, and you lose the people, and in large numbers, unfortunately, that that took care of you your whole life, that you grew up with. And so it's not a great time, and I always got to be here to help my mom do everything. And then one more time in closing, do not worry about your grades. I'll get to them on Friday or over the weekend. I will correct all of them. I was intended to do it last week, but I had to leave quickly, and then I hadn't had a breathing second since. Now let's just hope that this video uploads to you, my YouTube link, okay, and you can see it. So everyone, thanks for your patience. Go through the slides, the article. Again, no one diet that is perfect. Just like exercise, if the foods are healthy and you like them, eat them. Even if it's repetitive, if you like them. Better to get some nutrients in and a repetitive food source than no good nutrients. And I'll talk a little bit more about it and on the review video on Friday. And also, I'll try to build a slide deck like I did last time on the emphasis as to where those questions would be. Okay, everyone? So thanks for being patient with me. And I'll touch base again on Friday. Thank you.